Hey everybody, it's Neil here from Post to Post. I thought I'd make a video going through every single team in the NHL and talking about my favorite player from every team. This is not the first time that I've done this video. In fact, it's not the second time I've done this video. I think it's the third time or fourth time I've done this video. The original idea came all the way back in 2017 when I started the original Post to Post channel, and I made a video at, I think it was maybe the April or May point of 2017. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun going through the rosters, and it was always something I wanted to do continually on the channel. I mean, maybe every year, every couple of years. And I feel like it's maybe been 2 years or so, or 3 years since I've done that. So I thought we'd just go through all the teams, and just really quickly, I'll just tell you my favorite player from every team. I'll have strong opinions on some and not so strong on the others. So let's jump in, and you can let me know down below in the comment section at the end of this if you agree, disagree, maybe you want to list your entire 32 teams of your favorite player as well. I'll read the comments after this video, so thanks in advance. Okay, so starting off with Anaheim, we'll go in an alphabetical order in terms of abbreviation by team. I got my notepad here, by the way. I put Terry. So with Anaheim, I don't really feel drawn in any specific way. That's a team that's really transitioned a lot in terms of roster, as well as another specific team that I'm wearing. So I don't really feel like there's like Terry's great, and he's my favorite player on the team, but I don't feel like he's leaps and bounds above everyone else on the team or anything like that. Boston, Zacha. I was a huge Zacha fan back when he played with the Devils, and I got to watch him play in, I think it was 2017 or 2018 in Prince Edward Island when they had the Rogers Day Hockey Day in Canada or whatever it was. He played Ottawa in Summerside, and Zacha was there. So I was really excited to see him play there. One of my favorite players in the NHL, not just for New Jersey at the time, but in the NHL. So he's made the transition to Boston, so Zacha is my favorite player on Boston. Buffalo, I put Thompson. I kind of feel maybe the same as Anaheim there a little bit, where there's not really one player that's like truly standing out for me. There's lots of good players on Buffalo, but mostly Thompson as my favorite. Carolina. So there's going to be a couple of trends that you'll notice throughout this entire list, I guess, of my personal favorites. So Carolina, Kotkaniemi. Now, for background, if you're new, my favorite team in the NHL is the Montreal Canadiens. I'm wearing this hat, San Jose Sharks, because I talk about all the teams in the NHL. That's why there's a couple of jerseys back there in the background. Over there, a couple more jerseys hanging up from different teams. I wear a different team in every video, essentially. But I am a Canadiens fan at heart, and Kotkaniemi was originally a Canadian. It was very sad to see him go, and he's been with Carolina. So he's got to be my favorite player on Carolina. A little bit of Montreal bias there, but that's okay. Columbus, I wouldn't necessarily say this is Montreal Canadiens bias, but it is a little bit recent. Monahan. Of all the teams in the NHL, Columbus, I really honestly struggled to actually choose my favorite player on the team. I don't really have one. So like Monahan, which is like a thrown-in kind of name that I put in here, I do not feel strongly either way of any player on Columbus. They're all fine. Calgary, I put Backlund. I've been a huge Backlund fan forever. I think he's very underrated. I think he's one of those core players that a lot of people tend to look over, but I think he does a lot of the hard work and stuff, so I appreciate him a lot. Chicago, I put Teravainen. Here comes another possible trend that you might see. If you look at the nationality, that might be a hint. So Teravainen, my favorite on Chicago. Colorado, Lehkonen, a double here, nationality and a former Montreal Canadian. I think he's on injured reserve right now, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, Lehkonen, former Montreal Canadian, was very sad to see him go. Dallas, Roope Hintz. Yes, Roope Hintz, another Finn on Dallas. Dallas has so many players that I could add here. Be like, yeah, favorite. Like I really, really like Dallas's lineup and roster. Detroit, it's DeBrincat. So kind of like some of the other players who have moved on to different teams, kind of like Zacha. DeBrincat, for me, like he was always my favorite player with Chicago. So to see him in a different team is weird, but he's still, like, I want to follow his career. And that's a bit of a weird pick. Like, it's DeBrincat. He's not a superstar. He's not this, like, high contract player or anything. He's just one of those players that I kind of gravitated towards. He kind of had the same play style as me growing up. He's not a big player. I'm not very tall. I'm only 5'9". So yeah, I like DeBrincat. Edmonton, I put Arvidsson for basically the same reason. I liked Arvidsson when he was with Nashville. So moving on to Edmonton, fine. There's not a lot of players in Edmonton that I really like, so I had to throw him down there. Florida, I put Barkov. How could you not like Barkov? I think Barkov is amazing, so I think that would be on a lot of people's list. A lot of other good options on Florida as well, but yeah, Barkov is mine. The LA Kings, Kopitar, for two reasons. Number one, I've always loved Kopitar. I think he's a good like silent leader almost. Like he's not like a Jamie Benn that is very camera forward and will throw down the gloves with everyone. And I love Jamie Benn. And that's none of that is a knock on Jamie Benn. Those are his good qualities. But Kopitar is a little bit more of a silent leader and also a really, really skilled player and is not afraid to be physical. So I really like Kopitar. And also he wears my favorite number 11. So that's the second reason. Minnesota. I had to put Fleury. I just had to. I get to see him play in Vegas in that playoff game that first year, 2017, or I guess technically 2018. And it was an unreal experience and to watch him play. And then, I didn't really follow his career up until he joined Vegas. And I was never really a Pittsburgh fan, if I'm honest. But I felt like it was almost like a switch or something in my head that's like, oh, yeah, Fleury exists, and he's pretty good, and he's also an incredible person off of the ice. So I have to put Fleury there as my favorite from Minnesota. Montreal, so my favorite team. I put Caulfield, kind of for the same reason I put DeBrincat. Caulfield is a small player. He kind of defied the odds with his size to even get to the NHL, let alone be a really strong and talented and incredible player. So I had to put Caulfield on there. New Jersey Devils, this one really hurts. So we've talked about Montreal being my favorite team. Well, San Jose is my second favorite team, or maybe used to be my second favorite team. And Timo Meier was one of my favorite players in the entire NHL and with San Jose, and then he left. Now he's with New Jersey. So my heart is still a little bit broken over that. But yeah, Timo Meier from I think he's Swiss. He's from Switzerland, so that's pretty cool. He's in New Jersey, so that's my favorite from New Jersey. Nashville, UC Saros, another Finn, which is on trend for me if you've been paying attention here. I really like Saros for kind of the same reason, honestly, as a Caulfield and as a DeBrincat and stuff. He's not really a big player. Like UC Saros is pretty short. So I like the underdog, that kind of small player mentality that kind of defies the odds, and he's also extremely talented. New York Islanders, I kind of fought between two. I really couldn't make a decision. I put Nelson and Cizikas. I like them both. I like a lot of players on the Islanders, so that was a tough one for me. The Rangers, on trend here. Capo Caco. I had, I guess, a jersey with his name on the back. I know that he is maybe not meeting all the expectations from his original draft, but I still like him quite a bit. So yeah, he's my favorite from the Rangers. Ottawa, I struggled here. I put down Shabbat, but I don't know. There's a couple of players on there that could maybe be my favorite, but I wouldn't even really classify them favorites. Like I just put a name to put a name essentially for Ottawa. Philadelphia, Delorier. I mean, I don't know if anyone else would have their favorite player being Delorier off the Flyers, but former Montreal Canadian and a player that will stick up for his teammates, who will fight anyone, and his hands aren't that bad. Like he's not going to score a ton of goals and stuff, but he's a pretty talented player as well. He doesn't show it a lot. He shows his toughness way more. But yeah, Delorier, I really like him. Pittsburgh. I'm not sure anyone else would have this for Pittsburgh as well, but Rickard Rakell. So back in 2017 when I made the original channel, one of the first videos that I made, maybe in like the first 15 videos that I made was, I think, the most underrated players in the NHL. And at the time, Rickard Rakell was playing for Anaheim, and he was putting up some pretty decent numbers in crucial games, and no one was really talking about him. And I didn't love Anaheim at the time, but I liked them, and I really liked watching Rickard Rakell, and he quickly became one of my favorite players. Now, there's been a bit of decline. I will definitely admit that. However, he's still someone I like to watch. So Rickard Rakell for Pittsburgh for me. Seattle's going to be Grubauer. I feel like maybe some other people would probably have Grubauer as well. San Jose, I struggled. One of my favorite teams, you could say second favorite team, maybe third favorite team. I really struggled. It's not the same lineup that it used to be back in 2010. In case you're just tell a quick backstory. I was looking for a Western Conference team to cheer for because I was staying up a little bit later. I was watching a lot of hockey at the time, and I wanted to kind of like really root for a Western Conference team. So I was looking at all the lineups, the rosters, and picking out the players that I really liked. And Marleau was one of my favorite players. And I really like the San Jose Sharks logo, their colors and stuff. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, San Jose is a cool spot as well. So I picked essentially San Jose as my second favorite team. Then it's not the same team. They still got the same logo. The jerseys are relatively the same, but they don't have the same roster and lineup that I really fell in love with. And even some of the players that they drafted after that fact in the early 2010s, in the mid 2010s, they're not there anymore. So it's a little bit frustrating for me. So I put Granlund, just in another Finn, essentially. For St. Louis, I put Thomas. sure, pretty good player, likable for the most part. I think he's also maybe injured right now as well. But yeah, Thomas, Tampa Bay, I put Point, Braden Point. I mean, how could you not like Braden Point? Maybe he's done a couple of controversial things, but not really. He's a good player. So Braden Point for Tampa Bay. Toronto, I put Nylander. I feel like he gets overshadowed by Matthews and Marner and yada, 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 Tavares. But I think Nylander, it has so much potential, and he's not super consistent, but when he's on, he's like, I think at times he's better than Matthews and better than Marner on the ice. And Nylander just, when he gets in his game, he's so good, and I love watching him play. I wish he was more consistent, but yeah, Nylander's my favorite on Toronto. Vancouver, DeBrusk, when he played with Boston, he was my favorite player. So yeah, big DeBrusk fan. Utah, struggled here a little bit. I put Keller, great player, great young player. I like to watch him play. Vegas, I went OG Vegas. I went Carlson. I think he's maybe injured as well currently. I'm not watching a lot of Vegas at the moment, but got to see him play back in 2018. It was a really awesome experience, and I really liked him at the time. Winnipeg, I put Kyle Connor. I just like his game. He's kind of like I'm trying to think, like when I think of Rickard Rakell back in the day, no one really talked about him that much. Really skilled player, but no one was really talking about him. I feel like Kyle Connor's kind of like that. He's definitely gotten some more recognition in the last couple of years, but I still don't think he's talked about quite enough. I think he's an underrated player. And then the last one, Washington here. It is Ovechkin. In 2006, I guess, when he technically first kind of started, and against Crosby, that Ovechkin versus Crosby year 2006. If many of you may know Justin from the old days, he kind of like gravitated towards Crosby. He was a Crosby fan even before he joined the NHL. And I didn't really like Crosby that much. I didn't not like him. I just didn't like him. So I thought that I would just kind of be a little bit difficult and choose Ovechkin to be my favorite just for some drama, just for some spiciness. And then I ended up actually really liking Ovechkin for a couple of years, and he fell off my radar a little bit. But I really appreciate him for his, I think, personality more so than his gameplay. He's really funny. Like, he's a super funny guy. He's goofy. And I really appreciate that when hockey players show personality. There are some superstars, I'm not going to name any names, but there are some superstars in the NHL, in my personal opinion, have no personality, are super dull and super boring, and every time they come on the TV for an interview or whatever, I change the channel, I tune out. But Ovechkin, I'll always listen to Ovechkin. He's a pretty funny guy, and he's a pretty incredible player too. And in terms of superstars, there's not a lot of superstars that you can say, he can not only put the puck in the net, or he can, he's great on the power play, yada, 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 but he can hit. A lot of superstars, you can't say that for. Jamie Benn, yes. Also Ovechkin. So I really appreciate that about Ovechkin as well. So that kind of wraps up my list. No one out there is going to have the exact same list as me. And that's kind of the beauty of this, is that there is no right or wrong with this one. It's everyone's personal favorite player on every single team. You, like me, you'll likely have stronger opinions on some teams than you will the others. But if you have a couple of minutes, let me know your favorite player down below in the comment section. Your least favorite player as well, if you want to go the opposite of this list. And if you've got serious time and you want to do a full list down below, I would absolutely love that. I read all the comments, and I appreciate you seeing there. Continuing the conversation down below in that comment section. So I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, hit the like button. I'll talk to you guys soon. Adios.